Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
And welcome to May, the month of Doctor Strange and his Multiverse of Madness. As a tie-in to our review of that movie, which is coming next week, we will be doing a series of multiversal duel episodes, starting with Batman Beyond versus Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, both are highly popular multiversal characters, futuristic versions of the Batman and Spider-Man characters. We'll discuss the characters' backstories and abilities before plugging their stats into a simulation runner to find out who would win later on this episode. Before that, we're going to break down the comic book movie news from the past week, including a bunch of footage that was shown at CinemaCon last week and the announcement that The Batman 2 is greenlit. On the Marvel end, we'll be talking about how Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania and The Marvels have swapped release dates, and how Jon Watts has departed as the director of the MCU's Fantastic Four film. As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic. We want to thank everyone who wrote us a review for the Reviews for Good campaign through podchaser.com. Thank you so much for your kind words and for helping donate food supplies to families fleeing Ukraine. We have big news to announce, guys, in regards to our Patreon. Jonathan and I, in light of the current economy with inflation on the rise and everything, we decided to nix our $18 tier. So we only have a $2 tier and a $10 tier. And we want to let you guys know what you could get with each. So if you go to patreon.com/dynamicduel, you can see our tiers. For the $2 tier, you get access to our show with no ads via a custom RSS feed. You get an episode of bloopers on the first of every month. You also get a bonus episode of this podcast every month, which is basically a rank list episode where Jonathan and I count down the top 10 of a particular subject. In addition, you also get to join our Discord chat server where you can chat with other fans of the show and Jonathan and myself. And we take part in monthly movie watch-along parties where we just got done watching Shazam, and in May we're going to watch Shang-Chi together.
Yeah, that's a lot for $2.
For $10 a month, you not only get everything that was in the $2 tier, but you also get to become an executive producer of this show, and you get an official certificate saying so. So you can print that shit out, frame it, show it to all your friends, and make them jealous. But what it means to be an executive producer is that you get to join a monthly video chat with Jonathan and myself to discuss the upcoming month's content. So you get to influence what duels and reviews Jonathan and I do on this show.
Yeah, this episode, Batman Beyond vs. Spider-Man 2099, that was chosen by our executive producers.
Yeah, that's true. They helped choose all of our multiversal duels. As an executive producer, we'll also credit you at the end of every podcast episode, and you'll also be credited on our website. You'll also get access to our tentative episode release schedule, so you get to know before everybody else what episodes we have coming up in the future. So it's a special privilege to be an executive producer of this show, but we truly appreciate all patrons. Again, if you want to join either of these tiers, please visit patreon.com/dynamicduel, which is linked in our show notes, and choose a tier that works for you. But with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize.
A No Prize is an award Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award we post on Instagram that we award to the person who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Yeah, real quick, just a heads up, we have decided to do something different with our social media accounts going forward. We're going to primarily be focusing on Instagram and Twitter, mostly Instagram. That's where all of our, episode covers and the no prizes are going to be going. Twitter is really just for news, and a lot of our engagement with our fans will primarily be done with our patrons on Discord. But definitely follow us on Instagram. That's where a majority of the content that we post will appear. But moving on to the No Prize, we asked last week, if Warner Brothers recasts The Flash, who would you choose to play the new Barry Allen?
And we had everybody come out of the woodwork to answer this question. We got so many answers, but we could only award 3 honorable mentions and a No Prize winner, so let's go ahead and count them down.
Our first honorable mention goes to Ken Johnson, who said,
"What's up, guys? It's Ken. I think Jack Quaid, all of the boys, would be an excellent recast for Barry Allen. Honestly, though, I would be much happier if it was Wally West. I think he's probably the more interesting of the characters. But thanks, guys."
Yeah, actually, Ken wasn't the only person to answer with Jack Quaid. Brandon Estergard also gave him as his choice to replace Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. I'm not familiar with the boys, I'm not going to lie, but from what I see on like Google image search, I think he definitely looks the role at the very least. He definitely has like a smart kind of look to him, which I think is important for Barry Allen. It's sort of what sets him apart from Wally West. Like Ken mentioned that Wally West is more interesting. He probably has a little bit more personality. And oftentimes, like in the Justice League animated cartoon, you'll often see Barry Allen sort of adopt a Wally West personality because they need like a jokester of the group, you know, and he just kind of fits the bill.
And the character that Jack Quaid plays in the Boys television series is supposed to be pretty comical. So I think this fits.
Personally, I would hope that the first time we see Wally West in a live action movie would be, you know, as like a teen, as Kid Flash, and then just have that actor grow into the Flash role like he did in the comics. I think that would actually be really cool.
Our next honorable mention goes to Sophie C.K., who said,
The Flash should be played by Sam Claflin. I mean, the guy's a great actor. He looks just like Barry. He smiles just like Barry. And I think he shares the same sort of meteoric charm that Barry has been sorely lacking in his live adaptations, because the studios want Wally and they have Barry and they don't know what to do. I think that Sam would be a great comic accurate version of Barry and could even serve as a potential vehicle for a later Wally West.
I think that's a great point. I think one of the ways to portray Barry Allen in a way that's not more like the humorous Wally West is to just make Barry Allen really fun and charming. And I think Sam Claflin would fit the bill there.
I haven't seen too many things with Sam Claflin. I think the most recent thing I saw was Book of Love. It's like a Netflix movie, and it wasn't bad. He's a good actor and definitely does have a charm about him.
Yeah, I actually think he would do really well in the role. Not only would he be cheap, but I think it would also elevate his career.
Our final honorable mention goes to Son of Farhumand, who said,
Hi there everyone, Son of Farhumand here, and as to who should replace Ezra Miller for The Flash, I'd say I have two. And it's Grant Gustin, who I think is already great for the role in the CW, but everyone's going to say him. So my other one is Lucas Till. He was decent in the Monster Trucks movie. And I also asked my dad what would he think, and he'd say Tom Holland, but honestly I'd have a... Yeah, it's weird, but I think it kind of...
And it looks like his answer got cut off a bit, but I'm going with his Lucas Till answer as the honorable mention. Of course, he played Havoc in the X-Men movie series, but that's over and done with. And I think he's kind of aged into like a good kind of mature Barry Allen look.
Yeah, I actually love this answer. I don't love the Grant Gustin answer so much, though.
Oh my gosh. Literally, just like he said, everyone answered with Grant Gustin. No! The guy is good, and he's charming, and he's great. But he's also a TV actor, you know? I want someone with a little bit more star power to play Barry Allen in the movies. I think if Grant Gustin did play Barry Allen in the movie universe, like it would just be confusing. People would think it was the TV version, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think if you went with Grant Gustin, then people would expect the other CW DC actors to start playing the movie roles and stuff like that. And if they didn't, then yeah, it would be confusing why this version of Barry Allen looks like the TV version, but not the other characters. So I agree. I don't think it should be Grant Gustin at all. Dude wobbles his head way too much when he talks.
Damn.
Seriously. But we want to give a huge thank you to so many people: Matt Estes, Lok Shtangi, DC Joe, Brandon Estergard, Mr. 263. Go check out his YouTube channel, Mr. 263. Shane Habazin. Go visit him on our subreddit, which is r/Dynamic Duel. And Evan Tomke, go listen to him on the MovieCast. Thank you guys for all visiting our website and clicking on that record button. It means a lot to us that you took the time to do that. But the winner of this week's No Prize goes to Miggy Matanguihan, who said,
Hey guys, it's Miggy, and like a lot of people, I would love to see Grant Gustin in the movies, but he's probably sick of that role, and Johnny DC hates the CW, so that answer won't win. So I'm going to go with Andrew Garfield, because I think he can play Barry's hopeful outlook and humor despite his tragic past. Andrew Garfield is a better choice than someone like Ryan Gosling, because he can play Barry's social awkwardness well.
Now, Miggy is one of our patrons, and I've been saying forever on the Discord that Ryan Gosling should play Barry Allen, because I think Ryan Gosling is just a terrific A-list actor. But then Miggy brought up Andrew Garfield, and I kind of realized that Ryan Gosling, as good of an actor he is, might be a little bit too mellow of an actor for someone who should have a lot of energy like Barry Allen. I think Andrew Garfield is a fantastic actor, and I know, Joseph, you probably hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
But he's done with Spider-Man, right? So why not have him be Barry Allen the Flash?
Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man. He can't play the Flash. That's what I'm saying. I liked the Lucas Till answer or Sam Claflin, though I will admit they don't have as much star power as Andrew Garfield. I still think they'd be better.
I think he could totally pull it off. I know he can. I think it would be great. He has the energy level for the role. And like he did with Spider-Man, I think he could portray intelligence pretty well. Congrats to Miggy for winning this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned till later on in this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week.
And now that that's done,
on to the news. Okay, so this past week was CinemaCon in Las Vegas, which is a big convention for studios to showcase to movie theater chains what they have coming to those chains in the upcoming year. Warner Brothers had a huge panel, the first half of which essentially was a lot of apologizing to movie theaters for the day-and-date release strategy that Warner Brothers had for their films on HBO Max last year. Warner Brothers has a huge slate of films coming out this year and next year, and DC is a big part of that. One of the biggest announcements to come out from the event was that the Batman 2 was officially announced. Matt Reeves took the stage to announce it officially, though we didn't get really any other information regarding that movie, like no news about what the title will be or the villain or anything. But it's still pretty exciting to hear that the Batman 2 is coming. The big DC Comics showstoppers were the ones that showed footage, and that included Black Adam, Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, The Flash, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And I guess League of Super Pets, I don't know. That's not really a big showstopper. Though that is the film that's coming up the soonest, with a release date of July 29th. The Rock himself came out to debut footage for League of Super Pets and Black Adam, and apparently that was really cool. They got to see the Justice Society, like Dr. Fate, Cyclone, Atom Smasher, and Hawkman. Apparently there's a pretty cool fight scene between Hawkman and Black Adam, where Hawkman's like, heroes don't kill, and Black Adam was like, well, I do.
Let's all be like Black Adam, kids.
Jeez. No, apparently to the attendees, the footage was really cool, and I can't wait to see a glimpse, just a little taste of some of that. And of course, Black Adam will be coming out this October 21st. Later on in the year, on December 21st, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is going to be released, and they showed footage for that as well, including Shazam breaking up with Wonder Woman, apparently, sort of in like a similar cameo fashion that we had for Superman at the end of the first Shazam film.
I heard it's a dream sequence, though.
Oh, is it? That's still pretty funny. Now, originally, this film was going to come out on December 16th, but 2 days later, when Disney had their presentation and they showed the first footage from Avatar on Stranger Tides, or whatever the fuck the sequel is called, which is also being released on December 16th, Shazam could not have moved faster from that release date. I mean, it's only 5 days, but I think it's a good family film that, is pretty suited for a Christmas time audience. So I don't mind the shift.
Cowards.
Shut up. Attendees also got to see footage from Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom. And it wasn't a trailer, apparently. It was just more behind-the-scenes kind of footage, like what we saw at the DC Fandome. Although, apparently, there was, no footage of Amber Heard as Mara. Rumor has it that her role has been, diminished to within, 10 minutes of the entire film.
Oh, interesting.
That's coming out March 17th of next year, so it's, a year away. And finally, what was one of the most talked about films of CinemaCon, The Flash, which people are a little nervous about considering Ezra Miller's, ongoing legal troubles in Hawaii. But thankfully, they had a ton of footage of Michael Keaton as Batman to help sell this movie. And it seems like people are really stoked for it. There's a line in the movie where Ezra Miller says, are you in? And I guess Batman, sitting in a chair, he's like, you want to get nuts? Okay, let's get nuts. Which, of course, is a callback to a line he delivered in the first Batman movie from 1989. And it just sounds like it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that on the screen. That movie is coming out June 23rd of next year. So all in all, I think DC totally brought it to CinemaCon. And I can't wait to see all of this footage. Just give us some trailers for each one. Just have 5 different trailers in front of Doctor Strange, all DC films. That's what I want.
That's not going to happen.
At least 3 then.
You'll probably get 1 or 2 at the most, is what I think. But speaking of Marvel, we also got some Marvel news from the past week. Some minor bits. including the news that Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and The Marvels movie have swapped release dates. Initially, The Marvels, which is the sequel to Captain Marvel, was going to come out early next year on February 17th, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania was going to come out in the summer in July 28th. But now, Ant-Man is coming out in February, and The Marvels is coming out in July. The reason for the switch, apparently, is just because Ant-Man and the Wasp is further ahead in production.
It's not a bad release date, I think, for that movie, considering that the Ant-Man and the Wasp are kind of a couple, and for them to come out near Valentine's Day is kind of appropriate.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm really excited for that movie, considering it has Kang the Conqueror as the main villain, and I think it'll have a lot of impact on the MCU as a whole.
And we don't really know who the villains are going to be in the Marvels.
Yeah, no, not yet. We know less about that movie. But I also think that a July release date fits that film well. Part of me thinks that since Loki Season 2 is going to get started filming here shortly, that they may just be doing this to make sure that the Ant-Man threequel gets out before Loki Season 2. But I'm looking forward to both Quantumania and The Marvels next year. I'm also looking forward to Fantastic Four, which unfortunately lost its director in Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy director Jon Watts. Now, initially when Jon Watts was announced as the director for Fantastic Four, I wasn't immediately sold just because up to that point it seemed like the Spider-Man movies weren't quite large scale enough for Marvel's first family of heroes. But since then, we've seen Spider-Man No Way Home, and the scale of that movie was gigantic, and it really convinced me that Jon Watts truly had what it took to undertake a film of the scale of Fantastic Four. So now that he's gone, I'm a little bit disappointed, but it's understandable considering that he was saying he spent the better part of a decade working with superheroes and he wants to try something new. It sounds like he's trying to get his passion project off the ground with Brad Pitt and George Clooney on a script that he wrote that was recently purchased by Apple.
Okay.
So it makes sense why he would do this. I mean, the split was amicable. Marvel said they would like to work with him in the future, and he said he would like to work with Marvel again sometime in the future.
Yeah, you have to wonder if Feige will enlist one of his usual directors to helm the film now, or if he'll bring up another unknown. Or maybe an established director from outside the MCU. It'll be interesting to see who he picks.
Yeah, whoever it is has to really get the Fantastic Four in a way that Tim Story didn't and Josh Trank certainly didn't. They're not easy characters to crack. I think Jon Watts definitely had what it took, considering that, Spider-Man's also kind of a lighthearted character, just like the Fantastic Four. But looking forward to that announcement soon. And as for who the director should be, that brings us to our question of the week. Who do you want to see direct the MCU's upcoming Fantastic Four movie, and why? They have plenty of time to announce this director, seeing as the film doesn't come out until 2024, so we want to hear your guys' thoughts.
Record your answer at dynamicduel.com by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message could be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick our favorite answer and award that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to Instagram. Be sure to answer before May 7th. But I think that does it for the news for this episode. Now let's move on to the main event, where we find out who would win in a battle between the futuristic Batman character, Batman Beyond, against the futuristic Spider-Man character, Spider-Man 2099. Okay, Batman Beyond versus Spider-Man 2099. Not only are these characters from potential future timelines within the existing DC and Marvel comic book universes, but they're also from alternate realities. Batman Beyond is Earth 12.
Yeah, and Spider-Man 2099 is from Earth 928.
So random! But we figured that these guys are probably some of the more popular multiversal characters out there. I loved watching Batman Beyond as a kid. One of the coolest cartoons ever, I think.
I've always been a fan of Batman Beyond. I liked him in the fact that he actually seemed a lot cooler than Batman had ever been. Because Batman Beyond could actually fly. He could turn invisible and shit like that. So he actually seems like a better match for Spider-Man than the normal version ever would be.
Oh, definitely. I don't know too much about Spider-Man 2099. I think he could also turn invisible.
No. Well,
never mind.
Kind of. We'll talk about it.
All right. If you've never listened to one of our Duel episodes before, the way we determine a winner between these two characters is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations using their statistics. A Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling.
And in our case, it randomizes statistics along a normal distribution, which is a bell curve, as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters we use are based on the official Marvel power grid, and we use that criteria to extrapolate the DC character stats. We've included some additional stat categories of our own, such as range, damage potential, versatility, and perception, in order to create a more complete and robust simulation.
Running these 1,000 simulations gives us a percentage of wins for each character, and we declare the one with the higher percentage to be the ultimate victor, considering that they're more likely to win any given battle. No character ever wins 100% of the time. Comics have shown that there's usually a way for Batman to defeat Superman, and we feel our method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the comic book stories.
And we use this method because it was the least subjective, most unbiased way to determine who would win. Of course, we are both heavily biased toward our respective allegiances, so instead of debating these matches forever, we just let the math decide for us. There's no fan votes here, and no relying on just feats.
Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down each character's histories and abilities before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the 1,000 simulations we run would play out beat for beat. And I believe it's your turn to go first with the Marvel character's backstory.
Yeah, let me tell you guys all about Spider-Man 2099. Miguel O'Hara was born to George and Conchata O'Hara in the late 21st century in Nueva York. In his time, the heroic age of the latter 20th century was a distant but fond memory of a now dystopian society controlled by the Alchemax Corporation, which had bought and purchased nearly every aspect of the nation's government, media, and means of production. A bright and gifted child, Miguel enrolled in the Alchemax School for the Gifted in Westchester, formerly the X-Men's Mansion. Alchemax shaped Miguel into one of their foremost scientific minds, and they made him the project head of one of their genetics programs right out of school in 2099. Miguel's job was to research the effects of alterations in animal genetic structures, though Alchemax's true aim was to find a way to create their own soldiers with superhuman abilities in the vein of heroes from 100 years ago. Miguel discovered some promising breakthroughs, but not fast enough for the corporation. They used his theoretical process on imprinting animal genetic codes onto human physiology on a human test subject, who was transformed into a monstrous mutant creature and then died. When Miguel learned of this, he tried to quit Alchemax. However, the VP of his division, Tyler Stone, invited Miguel to discuss the matter over a drink. During the conversation, Tyler Stone drugged Miguel with a highly addictive future narcotic called Rapture, which bonded to victims' DNA to make them addicted forever. Tyler Stone figured Michael would be forced to stay with Alchemax forever since the corporation was the sole producer of the drug. Shocked, Miguel ran to his lab and figured he could genetically reset his body to rid it of the drug. However, one of his superiors sabotaged his procedure by incorporating samples of spider genetic material, figuring that Miguel would mutate and die similar to the previous human test subject. Miguel did survive the process, though, and he managed to rid himself of the Rapture drug, but his body was horribly transformed by being spliced with spider DNA. In addition to enhanced physiology and senses, he grew venomous fangs, web spinnerets in his arms, and sharp talon-like protrusions from his fingers and feet.
Okay, so his webbing is organic.
Yes, correct. Alchemax's private police force tried to apprehend Miguel, but he leapt from the building to escape and discovered he could use his talons to scale walls. Miguel made his way through Nueva York back to his apartment as Tyler Stone sent a bounty hunter named Venture after him. Miguel donned an old Dia de los Muertos Mexican holiday costume to hide his identity and attacked Venture when he came around, defeating the bounty hunter by shredding his circuitry. Going on the run from Alchemax and taking his artificially intelligent holographic assistant Lilo with him, Miguel found himself below the elevated skyscrapers and down in the gritty downtown streets of Nueva York, which were free of Alchemax's control but overrun by gangs. One of the gangs, the Thor-worshipping Thorites, believed Miguel was Spider-Man, come back to herald the return of their thunder god, and the name stuck. He denied an invitation from the cannibalistic Vulture gang to join their crusade against Alchemax, and was forced to fight and defeat their leader for refusing. Soon after, Miguel found himself in the heroic age of the past, swapped in time with Peter Parker, whom you can learn more about in our Blue Beetle vs. Spider-Man Duel episode. This temporal displacement was caused by the future Stark Fujikawa Corporation, who was experimenting with the temporal energy generator at the time. Miguel fought Venom in the present as Peter Parker fought Vulture in the future, and they both teamed up together to fight the Hobgoblin of the year 2211. Eventually, a time-manipulating retcon bomb explosion sent everyone back to their respective timelines, and Miguel was back in 2099. In the course of his subsequent Spider-Man adventures, including defeating villains such as Mutagen, Chernobyl, Thanatos, and Man-Spider, Miguel learned that his former boss at Alchemax, Tyler Stone, now the CEO, was his biological father. Complicating matters, Tyler Stone was made the United States Minister of Corporate Affairs by the new president, Dr. Doom 2099, who had taken over the country in a revolution. In the power transition, Tyler Stone surprisingly made Miguel Alchemax's new CEO. Though Miguel planned to use the company to turn around its dystopian effect on society, the 2099 timeline suddenly started experiencing time distortions that threatened reality. They were discovered to be caused by Wolverine, who was sent back in time to prevent the creation of Ultron during the Age of Ultron event. To stop this, Miguel had Alchemax develop time portal technology to send himself back from the future to the present. While back in time, however, his father Tyler Stone destroyed the portal to take back Alchemax and strand Miguel in the present. While living in the heroic age, Miguel chose to lay low and avoid causing further time distortions, taking an undercover job at the present-day Alchemax Corporation. He ended up teaming with Peter Parker and many other timeline variants of Spider-Man to fight against the Inheritors, a family of dimension-hopping vampires who fed on spider totems to prevent their own deaths prophesied by the Web of Fate. Leading up to the final battle, Miguel and the steampunk Lady Spider managed to rebuild the Japanese Spider-Man's giant mech Leopardon and piloted it to help the Spider Army defeat the Inheritors. After the fight, all the Spider heroes were returned to their proper timelines, and Miguel went back to the future of 2099. In that reality, Miguel took back his role at Alchemax and had his father Tyler Stone ejected after Doom 2099's reign ended. He learned the company relied on Atlantean slave labor, and though he tried to negotiate with the Submariner of 2099, Nueva York and most of civilization was ultimately flooded and destroyed by the melted polar ice caps. Vulnerable, humanity was attacked by the parasitic techno-organic alien race called the Phalanx, and Miguel teamed up with Doom 2099 to save mankind. Miguel then restarted Alchemax and reawakened Captain America, who had again been frozen for decades. Cap gifted Miguel Thor's hammer Mjolnir as he believed he could lift it, and he was right. Miguel could lift the hammer, and although he couldn't use it to wield Thor's powers, he did use it as a means to inspire mankind into rebuilding itself toward an unprecedented era of enlightenment. And that's Spider-Man 2099's backstory. Powers-wise, Spider-Man 2099's body is spliced with spider DNA, which grants him some similar powers to the present-day Spidey, but with notable differences. Spider-Man 2099 still has enhanced strength, able to lift 10 tons, enhanced agility, reflexes, and stamina, but no spider sense. To compensate, he does have highly accelerated vision that functions as both telescopic and night vision. His eyes are so hypersensitive that he has to wear sunglasses at all times when out of costume. He has organic spinnerets in his forearms that shoot out organic webbing, and his fingers and toes have talons that he can use to cling to walls, and they're sharp enough to cut through metal. Spider-Man 2099 also has sharp fangs that secrete a paralyzing venom to whomever he bites. His suit is made from unstable molecules. It's durable and largely can't be penetrated by things such as bullets because the material can disperse most of the impact, though if he shot too many times at once, he would suffer internal injuries. He also wears a small cape made of light bite material that allows him to glide through the air. He has a tremendous scientific intellect, being one of the foremost authorities on genetics, and is an accomplished businessman. He also carries his holographic assistant Lila on his watch communicator, who feeds him intel, can hack into nearby systems, and project holograms, which have been used many times in battle to create holographic illusions. And that's Spider-Man 2099.
Wait, so you said he has fangs, like in his mouth? Does he have
Yes.
to lift up his mask to bite people?
Yeah, he lifts it up from underneath his chin, and then he bites people to paralyze him. It's weird.
That is really weird. I don't think I've ever seen the character's face before.
He kind of looks like a Hispanic Peter Parker. Very similar, except he wears sunglasses because of his accelerated vision.
Okay. There's actually some similarities between Miguel and Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond. So let me get into his backstory. In the year 2023 of the alternate DC universe of Earth 12...
2023, that's next year.
That's right. Terry McGinnis was born to Warren and Mary McGinnis in Gotham City, approximately 3 years after Bruce Wayne gave up the Batman mantle due to his age and declining health, particularly an ailing heart condition. Terry McGinnis wasn't the best behaved kid growing up. He joined a street gang as a young teenager and served 3 months in juvenile detention when he was 14. At the same time, his parents were getting a divorce. He eventually straightened out somewhat, but his take-no-guff attitude often got him into trouble, and in one instance, he ran from a street gang known as the Jokers onto the estate of Bruce Wayne, who helped Terry fend off the gang. The strain of the battle put stress on the aged Bruce's heart, and Terry helped him get back to his manor, where he also stumbled upon the Batcave and realized that Bruce Wayne was formerly Batman. Bruce kicked Terry out of the manor, and Terry returned home to his father's house, only to discover it ransacked seemingly by the Joker's gang and his father murdered. While moving into his mother's house, Terry found a disc hidden behind a photo of him and his father with evidence that incriminated his father's employer, Derek Powers, the head of the merged company, Wayne Powers, of which Bruce was a partial owner. Terry approached Bruce to help bring justice to his father and the company, but Bruce insisted the evidence be turned over to the authorities. The disc was taken from Terry in transit, however, and in response, Terry stole Batman's upgraded, cutting-edge bat suit from the Batcave. Though Bruce mistrusted Terry initially, he eventually guided him into stopping Derek Powers' plans to sell viral weapons. Deciding that Gotham still needed a Batman, Bruce continued to mentor Terry from the Batcave, communicating to his protege through the suit. While posing as Bruce Wayne's personal assistant during the day, at night, Terry protected Gotham as the new Dark Knight from villains such as Spellbinder, Ink, Shriek, and Derek Powers himself, who was mutated as a result of exposure to his own viral weapons into the radioactive villain Blight. Terry gained several allies during his time as Batman, including Commissioner Barbara Gordon, the former Batgirl, who you can learn more about in our Batgirl vs. Hawkeye episode. Terry's high school friend Maxine Gibson, a talented computer hacker, also helped him after deducing Terry's identity on her own, and she proved valuable when Bruce's outdated technical expertise was ill-suited to a mission. Max also helped provide ample excuses to Terry's longtime girlfriend Dana as to why he was always missing. Eventually, an older Superman visited Gotham and invited Terry to join the Justice League Unlimited as part of a secret mission to discover which member of the League was trying to sabotage and kill the others. The traitor was ultimately revealed to be Superman himself, infected and controlled by Starro, who wanted to take over Batman and the other League members in order to make world domination easier. After Starro was defeated, Superman offered Terry a true invitation to the League, which Terry initially declined, but he eventually did become a part-time member. When the Joker, seemingly returned from the dead, was revealed to be the secret head of the Joker's gang, Bruce insisted on Terry relinquishing the cowl, though Terry refused. Terry eventually learned that the Joker was killed decades ago by Bruce's former sidekick, Tim Drake, who you can learn more about in our Red Robin vs. Winter Soldier Duel episode. The Joker had kidnapped Tim when he was Robin and tortured and brainwashed him for weeks. During his rescue, a Jokerized Tim fought against his brainwashing and killed the Joker, causing him to suffer from a mental breakdown afterward and retire from superheroics for good. Though Terry visited Tim and confirmed that Tim had no involvement in the Joker's return, it was later revealed that the Joker had implanted a microchip in Tim during his brainwashing that encoded the Joker's DNA and consciousness into Tim over time. After the Joker took over Tim's body completely, Terry used one of the Joker's toy hand buzzers to electrocute Tim and fry the microchip controlling him. Decades after the ordeal, when Terry was 31 years old and still Batman, Bruce, now even older, began suffering from kidney failure. While searching for a tissue donor, Terry discovered that he was a perfect genetic match. His DNA revealed that he was, in fact, Bruce Wayne's son all along. It was revealed that Terry was the result of a genetic experiment orchestrated by Amanda Waller in order to ensure that Batman would exist long after Bruce's death, as he was only human. Amanda Waller, who you can learn more about in our Suicide Squad vs. Defenders episode, injected Warren McGinnis with nanotechnology that rewrote his reproductive cells to match Bruce's DNA, since Warren and Mary were a psychological match for Thomas and Martha Wayne, Bruce's own parents.
Crazy.
Amanda had even hired an assassin to kill Warren and Mary when Terry was 8 years old, but the assassin was the Phantasm, Bruce's former fiancée, and she convinced Amanda that resorting to murder for the greater good would destroy everything Batman stood for. Amanda abandoned Project Batman Beyond and was just as surprised as Terry to learn that fate had made him Batman regardless. The future Batman eventually made his way into mainstream DC Comics, though it was revealed that he was a future version of Tim Drake initially, who took over the mantle from Terry after Terry was killed during a time-traveling trip to the past to help stop the evil satellite Brother Eye. In post-Flashpoint alternate timeline continuity, however, Terry is back in the cowl and has even had new allies, including his younger brother Matt, also Bruce's genetic son, as the new Robin, and Dick Grayson's daughter, Elena, as the new Batwoman. Now, powers and abilities-wise, Terry dons a cutting-edge, futuristic batsuit that grants him enhanced durability and the strength to lift 1 ton. The suit has a built-in cloaking device and is magnetized, allowing him to cling to certain surfaces like buildings. His cowl has a built-in heads-up display with numerous scanners, sensors, and sight modes, as well as two-way communication between him and, typically, Bruce Wayne. His boots have rocket thrusters, and from his arms and back he can extend glider wings. At his forearms, he has retractable scallops, and from his wrists, he can project grapple lines, concussive discs, bolas, and batarangs capable of being electrified or explosive. His gloves come equipped with extendable lockpicks and computer interfaces, and the fingertips can transform into sharp, pointed claws. He has a utility belt that contains tranquilizer darts, smoke pellets, flashbang grenades, tracers, and a button that will activate an electric current that runs across his entire suit. Terry himself has been trained in martial arts by Bruce Wayne. And that's pretty much all of Batman Beyond.
Yeah, these guys do have a lot of similarities. You know, the whole gang thing, the father reveal, the kind of computer assistant kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the powers, too. It's pretty incredible.
Well, you mentioned that Spider-Man 2099 had a sort of camouflage. Where was that?
That was through the holographic illusion casting, through Lila.
Oh.
So he could disguise himself, basically. It'll be interesting to see how this match plays out. So let's do that. Because now that we got their histories and abilities out of the way, we're going to speculate on how one of the 1,000 simulated matches will go. The winner is determined by simulations, not the speculation, but it's fun to imagine how this fight could play out.
We don't set any rules for this match other than the characters don't know anything about each other going in, except that the other character is a threat that needs to be put down. And we say that they start off about 50 meters apart in an environment that has no bearing on the match itself, because we don't take stats for the environment.
Yeah, plus certain characters have advantages in some environments over others, and we want these characters to win on their own merit. So let's get into it. Batman Beyond and Spider-Man 2099 meet on the battlefield. Who goes first? Who would go first? Probably, I actually think Spider-Man would at least start off by scanning Batman with his holographic AI, Lila. Just scanning, the situation and getting a read on Batman, evaluating his tech and what he can do and stuff.
Okay, but as soon as Lila starts scanning Batman, alarms are gonna start going off in the Batcave, and Bruce is gonna be like, Terry, you're being scanned. So, Terry, he's gonna throw down a smoke pellet and activate his camouflage mode. So Spider-Man 2099 only gets a partial scan and doesn't know where Batman is anymore to complete it.
What are you talking about? A gas pellet is not going to stop Spider-Man from seeing Batman because he has his accelerated vision, which is night vision, kind of thermal reading. He'd be able to see Batman still. And camouflaging and a smoke pellet is also not going to stop Lila from doing her scan. So Lila has all the info she needs. She knows everything Batman can do, and she just basically gives the lowdown to Spider-Man on who this guy is.
Does he have like a heads up display where he could like read this information, or does she literally have to like tell it to him?
Well, I mean, she can project text, but no, she just talks to him.
Okay, because this is going to be a really fucking long conversation because Batman Beyond could do a ton of stuff. But besides that, like, the joke's on you because Bruce was able to circumvent Lila's scan using his computer in the Batcave. So he's just going to feed her false intel with, like, a computer virus or something. So Spider-Man only thinks he knows stuff. Like, he doesn't know that Batman has explosive batarangs, which is exactly what's coming flying straight at Spider-Man's face right now.
Well, Spider-Man is going to see these batarangs because, again, he never lost sight of Batman with his accelerated vision, and he's just going to web them up as they're flying at him, going to yank them out of the air and just hurl them right back at Batman. Batman blows up.
Now I'm going to say Batman dodges those by rocketing to the air like just in time. So while he's in the air, he's going to then like dive over to Spider-Man and just do this midair flip. So he plows into Spider-Man feet first, knocking him onto the ground.
Okay, but Spider-Man is just going to reach up and slash at Batman from the ground with his talons and then slice a deep gash in Batman's leg. And then Spider-Man's going to leap up into the air and shoot his webs down, webbing Batman up, and then yanks Batman up into the air and swings him around and then down hard onto the ground with a crash.
I feel like I've seen this move in like Marvel vs. Capcom or something like that. I just imagine it like video game style.
You sure? Yeah, I think it was like a leapfrog type move kind of thing.
Okay, so you mentioned that Batman has a deep gash in his leg. Yeah, that wasn't actually that deep. You know, he's gone up against bladed baddies before in the show, and his suit is like very protective. Like, it's really hard for stuff to penetrate it, all right? So, at worst, like, Spider-Man exposes some glowing red circuitry on Batman's leg, okay? So, yeah, Batman got slammed, but while he's on the ground, you know, he protrudes his sharp forearm scallops that just slice right through Spider-Man's webbing. And he's gonna follow that up by firing an electrified bola at Spider-Man, which is gonna wrap him up and electrocute him. And while he's incapacitated, you know, Batman's just gonna grab him, rocket high up into the sky, and just let him drop to his death, tied up. And these bolas, they're strong.
I mean, how high is this? Like, couldn't Spider-Man just land on his feet or something?
No, he can't. He's being electrocuted.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So as Spider-Man's falling, like in pain from the electricity, he's just going to muster his superior might, and he's going to flex real hard and snap the bola that's encasing him and free himself. And then he's going to activate his glider, and he's just going to glide away. Just glide away.
Okay, well, I mean, Batman, he's just going to rocket after him. I imagine he's a lot faster than, you know, Spider-Man gliding. So as he catches up with him in the air, Batman's going to use his claws to tear through Spider-Man's glider and then just send him crashing to the ground again.
Except, psych, you fell for it. Spider-Man didn't really glide away. That was just a holographic projection made by Lila. Instead,
is this Mysterio?
Spider-Man drops from the air above Batman and then latches onto his back, like digging in with his talons, sticking. And then he's going to sink his fangs into Batman's neck, paralyzing the guy.
Are these fangs in his teeth, are they like really, really long?
They're pretty long, yeah.
Okay, assuming Spider-Man's fangs can even penetrate Batman's suit, like as soon as Terry's skin is punctured, he's gonna activate the suit's like electric current. So like Spider-Man, he's just gonna get like a mouthful of electricity again before Batman can become fully paralyzed.
Electrocution is all Batman knows how to do. Swear to God. So basically, both these guys are like on the ground, paralyzed at this point, right? Batman from the spider venom, and then Spider-Man is probably stunned from being electrocuted twice.
Yeah, they both crash to the ground, I guess. But Bruce Wayne is analyzing the toxin in Terry's blood and walks Terry through, like injecting himself with an anti-venom antidote from his utility belt before the paralysis goes into full effect.
Well, he'd have to do that pretty quickly, but even if Batman was able to cure himself in time, by the time the anti-venom would kick in, Spider-Man's already back on his feet, and he swings over to Batman and uses Lila to analyze Batman's exposed circuitry that's visible in Batman's suit. And together they're going to calculate which wires will cut off power to his entire suit.
What?
So Spider-Man identifies them and rips those wires out with his talons, which just renders Batman essentially powerless and cutting him off from Bruce's communications, just shutting everything down.
Okay. All right, but I mean, even without access to the suit's weapons or scanners or anything, Terry's still wearing an armored suit, and I'm pretty sure he's the superior martial artist here, okay? So, as Spider-Man is still in close, Batman's gonna headbutt him right in the face with his cowl ears, like stabbing out his eyes and blinding Spider-Man.
Holy shit!
So, from there, Terry's just gonna grab the sides of Spider-Man's head, and in one smooth motion, he's gonna flip over him while twisting. That's gonna snap Spider-Man's neck and end this match.
Jesus. But you forget that Spider-Man has superior neck strength. So as Batman tries to twist his neck around, Spider-Man just flexes his neck muscles to stop it from happening. And Batman's still holding onto him, not snapping his neck, and he's like, uh-oh. And then Spider-Man's just gonna grab the guy, and then he's gonna dig his talons into Batman's back and just rip off Batman's suit, kind of like Mark of Cain style,
What?
And then he's gonna rip out the dude's spine. Fatality.
Dude, what is this, Mortal Kombat? First of all, Spider-Man, he can't even see. He can't even see where Batman's back or spine are. He's blind. So he's too busy freaking out that he's missing eyeballs to even do any of this.
No, I don't think Spider-Man is blind, because how did he get his eyes poked out if his mask is made out of unstable molecule fabric? Because you can't puncture that.
I mean, even if the fabric can't get punctured, I'm pretty sure Spider-Man's eyes are poked really bad. So he's basically blind, even if he's not missing eyeballs.
He just got his eyes poked real bad? What is this, Three Stooges?
Exactly.
I'm calling bullshit. I'm saying that, sure, maybe Spider-Man wouldn't be able to see due to the headbutt, but Lilac is still telling him where to strike, and so he rips out Batman's spine. The end.
And I'm saying superior neck strength is ridiculous. Spider-Man's neck is snapped.
Agree to disagree, we'll go ahead and leave the match there. We'll now input the stats on these two guys and run the simulations and come back with the winner to find out which of these scenarios were more likely to happen.
You're smiling. Why are you smiling? What? You shouldn't be smiling, because I think this is going to be a close match.
Yeah, because Batman Beyond has a lot going for him. He's also pretty strong, although not as strong as Spider-Man, but Batman is faster than Spider-Man.
Yeah, we said he was faster. We said that he had a greater damage level, and he was a better fighter.
Yeah, with all the bombs and gadgets that Batman has, he definitely has a lot more explosive potential than Spider-Man. But Spider-Man is also smarter. And that was actually the hardest stat to quantify when it came to these two, because we weren't sure if we should incorporate Bruce Wayne's intelligence into Batman Beyond's, since they can communicate with each other. And it was also hard to determine if we should incorporate Lila's intelligence into Miguel's, considering she's an infallible computer who knows everything leading up to the year 2099.
Yeah, we figured ultimately that we weren't going to include their assistant's intelligence in their stat, considering the fact that they need to have conversations with them in order for them to gain, their insight. And in a fast-paced battle, that's not as useful as the character just being intelligent on their own.
Yeah, and to that end, again, Miguel is smarter than Terry. So with all that said, who do you think's winning this one?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and disagree with our Instagram followers, 67% of whom voted in favor of Spider-Man 2099. That's almost 70%. I don't know how that happened. I would have figured Batman Beyond was way more popular than Spider-Man. Apparently, we have way too many Marvel fans following us on Instagram. If you're a DC fan, definitely follow us. Let's skew that back in favor of DC where it should be. But I don't think the win rate is going to be as high as 67%. I think it's going to be really close. I don't know who's going to come out on top in this match. My fingers are crossed that it's Batman Beyond.
Well, let's find out. The winner in the duel matchup between Batman Beyond and Spider-Man 2099 is...
Any second now.
It's Batman Beyond.
Yes! Yes!
Batman Beyond won 548 out of the 1,000 matches, leaving Spider-Man 2099 with 452 wins. It was a close match, but ultimately, Batman Beyond was too good of a fighter, did too much damage, and was too fast for Spider-Man 2099. He couldn't compensate with his superior strength and intellect.
Which ultimately means that Batman is better than Spider-Man, which ultimately means that DC is better than Marvel. It's confirmed.
We all know that there's no way in hell regular Batman would be able to defeat regular Spider-Man. Sure, Batman's smart, but guess what? Spider-Man will rip his fucking face off.
I don't know that. How's he going to do that when he's too busy being exploded by like a grenade?
Easily by avoiding that explosion with his spider sense. Obviously, Batman Beyond may beat Spider-Man 2099, but there's no way that Batman beats Spider-Man. That's all I'm saying. It's just a fact of life.
I'm sorry, have you run the stats to confirm that?
I think I have, if I remember correctly. I think I posted it for people in the Discord. And Spider-Man didn't really stomp, but he eked by.
I'm going to need to see receipts. Need the receipts. Otherwise, it's just hearsay. You're going to have to repost that to the Discord, I guess.
Gladly. All day, every day. I'll post that every single day in the Discord if I have to.
It's fine. I'll just repost the Batman Beyond win right afterward.
No one cares about that.
And then I'll post the main theme to Batman Beyond, and everyone can jam out to it, and we'll have a good time.
That's true. That is a good theme. I'll give you that. That's a great theme. Can you sing it?
This is not making it into the episode.
It might. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, shit. Well, that does it for this duel. Let us know what you thought. Fuck.
But that does it for this duel. Let us know what you thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Instagram or Twitter. You can find links to all of our accounts by checking out our show notes or visiting our website, dynamicduel.com.
And on our site, you can also find a link to our Patreon page where we offer ad-free episodes of the show via a custom RSS feed, bonus content, including top 10 episodes and bloopers, monthly live movie watch-alongs, and access to our Discord server, among other perks. Again, check out our Patreon right after this episode at patreon.com/dynamicduel, linked in our show notes. Our lowest tier is only $2 a month.
And our executive producer tier is $10 a month.
In our next episode, we will be reviewing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
I got my tickets, ready to see it Thursday evening. Really excited for this. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be dope, guys. It's going to be great.
I'm seeing it during a Saturday matinee, because I'm not paying full price for that shit. Not giving Marvel any more of my money than I need to.
Oh, because you know you're going to lose our bet between the Batman box office and Doctor Strange box office?
Yeah, I'm not worried.
We'll find out what happens. But that does it for this episode. We want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, John Speas, Ken Johnson, John Starosky, Zachary Hepburn, Dustyn Balcom, Miggy Matanguihan, Brandon Estergard, Ariana Cuadra, Nathaniel Wagner, Levi Yeaton, Austin Wesolowski, and Nick Abanto. Whoa! Thank you guys for making this podcast possible.
So many more producers. We'll talk to you guys next week. Up, and away.
True believers.